All right, guys, time for your daily motivation / skills training. Day number 2, week 3 of certification. For those of you who are on it, if you're not on certification, what are you waiting for? Call up. If you have problems with money, payment to people that we're working things out with scholarships and extensions, don't let this stop you, okay? Here we go. Ready? One of the things that frustrated me when I went out there into the world of self-development, right, was this whole idea of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Many of you probably know what NLP is. Those of you who don't, all right, and you're not on certification, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It's basically invented by a guy named Dr. Richard Bandler, a very good friend of mine, right? Love the guy, and it's brilliant stuff, NLP. And in some way, NLP is like stating the obvious wrapped up in science, but that's important still. Just by simply taking things that are happening naturally and putting procedures to them so people can actually duplicate success, well, that's an important thing, right? The problem I have with NLP, though, is there's so many charlatans out there who are practicing it, who are so-called certified, don't know the first thing about NLP. See, there's one thing to get, like this course now is a certification as a salesperson. There's a different certification after this for trainers. Like there's a different level you have to get to be a trainer. Before you go out and promote something, you really got to know it at a much deeper level. And being able to teach someone to sell or teach someone to manage their state, it's very different than doing it yourself. Some people can do both great. Some struggle with some people are great coaches, not great salespeople. You got both types, right? Anyway, point is that what bothers me about NLP is it's so powerful when it's done right, but so seldom done right. Like go to Bandler, yeah, wow, you get some really amazing results. A lot of people out there, pure nonsense because they just get filtered down. When I learned state management from NLP, right? Well, for me, it was sort of not a big deal because I don't have an issue with managing my state. I am that oddball type. I can always get into a peak state of certainty for sales, and that's very different for life in general. In business, my state never gets in my way. And there are some people like me, but most people aren't. Most people struggle with showing up in a state of certainty, positiveness, clarity, right? Courage. Not me. So when I was deciding to teach the straight line system, I knew how crucial it would be to help people manage their state. So I tried to use NLP to formalize what I had been doing back in Stratton, back in the day, and all the other sales forces that I'd run and managed since then. Meaning that I knew intuitively how crucial it was to be in a peak state. You had to be in a state of certainty or else you have nothing to transfer, right? And the system that NLP used was anchoring. And it just wasn't working for me. When I was using it, I found it to be really not effective, marginally at best, right? And I kept struggling with trying to find new ways to amp up NLP anchoring, and ultimately I hit on this system called olfactory anchoring, which was essentially standing on the shoulder of a genius, Dr. Bandler, and adding something else onto it that really made it usable in the business world. So that's what this whole module is really about. Now, it's spread out over many, many lessons. Why? Because there's building blocks, there's underpinnings, there's concepts you have to understand, psychology that rests behind it in order to use it more effectively. But in the end of the day, it's about olfactory anchoring, learning how to use a sense of smell to actually trick your brain, or not so much fun, just, get your brain to associate back into your most productive states. Certainty, clarity, comfort, courage, right? Now, we're going to go through the specifics later on. This is in the later modules. So right now, I just want you to understand just intellectually, the importance of this, all right? Remember, the things that matter when it comes to setting a real anchor is that you have to get yourself to that absolute tippy top of the state. You have to. Without that, you're spinning your wheels. You can't set an anchor. You can't recreate a state of certainty at an 8 or 9 and set an anchor. You got to be at an absolute 10 on the scale. That's the first thing. And the second drawback of NLP anchoring, again, as I explained in the modules, in that module, was that the anchor itself has to really stand out. It can't be just, yes, or clapping. And that's what you see mostly at these self-development seminars, Tony's great at it. Tony does it better than anybody, but again, it doesn't really work in terms of setting. There's many things he does that do work, Tony, but in this particular case, I don't believe that you can set an anchor like that, and I'm 99.999% sure because I've seen it. It's just mostly self-delusion. That one specific aspect of self-development. You can't do it. The only way to set an anchor is to wait until you are in that state organically. So I want you to just to realize this. Now, why would I make you in certification go through NLP anchoring? Well, the reason I make you go through that and learn it and actually take you through it and have you actually use your psychology to recreate, go back in a moment in time when you feel. The reason I make you do that is because I want you to get close. See, I don't want to take you, what I'd rather do is what's called stack and anchor. I get you to like an 8 and you set an anchor. It's not really a powerful one that you can really call on. But by getting you sort of close to that level, and then we stack on olfactory anchoring on top of that, triggering a sense of smell at that key moment in life. Just remember this. When you show up at someone's door or you pick on the phone, you have one shot to make that first impression. You learned that in unconscious communication, but it all starts to come back together. As you see the modules start to play out, you can't do the second until you really learn the third. You can't show up and capture someone's attention if you're in a disempowered state. You have to show up being your best self. That's what state management's all about, all right? So please take these lessons seriously as we go out there. I want you to really, we haven't, if you've already jumped, hopefully maybe you already finished the module, right? If you have, make sure you work this anchor every day. Just keep doing it. Keep using your, whatever set you chose and keep setting an anchor, keep reinforcing it. I promise you that the results will be incredible. It just works, all right? So I love you guys. I want you to get out there today into the field or on the phone and just make sure you're your best self on every single call and use this system, use this strategy of anchoring, olfactory anchoring specifically, right, to make sure you show up at the peak state, all right? And we'll talk again tomorrow and we'll start getting specific. See you then.